Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakanam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome all of you for this evening Bhagavad Gita class. We'll continue our discussion from chapter 2, text number 2. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Kutastva Kashmalamidam Vishame Samupasthitam Anarya Jushtam Asvargyam Akirti Karam Arjuna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets, but to infamy. So it's a long purport. We will discuss some portions of it. In the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna's lamentation for his kinsman is certainly unbecoming. And therefore, Krishna expressed his surprise with the word Kutaha. Where from? Such impurities were never expected from a person belonging to the civilized class of men known as Aryans. The word Aryan is applicable to persons who know the value of life and have a civilization based on spiritual realization. Persons who are led by the material conception of life do not know that the aim of life is realization of the absolute truth, Vishnu or Bhagavan, and they are captivated by the external features of the material world, and therefore they do not know what liberation is. Persons who have no knowledge of liberation from material bondage are called non-Aryans. Also, Arjuna was a Kshatriya. He was deviating from his prescribed duties by declining to fight. This act of cowardice is described as befitting the non-Aryans. Such deviation from duty does not help one in the progress of spiritual life, nor does it even give one the opportunity to become famous in this world. Lord Krishna did not approve of the so-called compassion of Arjuna for his kinsman. So, as we saw last time and a couple of weeks before, Arjuna is declining to fight. Arjuna is not eager to fight because of various reasons he gave. He says sinful reactions and so many karmic reactions and compassion. He gives many arguments to not fight the war. And that's how the first chapter ends. And this chapter, Krishna begins to speak. So this is the first verse where Krishna speaks. Sri Bhagavan Vacha. So that's an interesting feature. Till now we never found anything where Sri Bhagavan Vacha, Krishna speaks. Wherever anyone speaks, that person Vacha is said. So Arjuna is speaking Arjuna Vacha. When Dhritarashtra speaks, Dhritarashtra Vacha. So when Krishna speaks, what should be there? Krishna Vacha should be there, right? Describing the qualities of Aryan. So Krishna here is condemning Arjuna, saying, Kutatva, we can't say impurity. Or not fighting, giving up the duty, giving up the responsibility. How do you get this quality? Kutatva, Kashmalam is dirtiness, a bad quality. Vishame Samabhaktam. This is most crucial time. Just imagine someone qualifies for an exam, final exam, or a tournament finally, a World Cup final or some important tournament match is there. And you bring everything before that, and finally you reach the final, the main exam or the main match. And there you see, I don't want to try to this match. I don't want to play the match. So what do we call him? I think that's what we said. What happened is, you play every match so nicely, you appear for exam so nicely, clear everything so nicely. Now the main exam we have to write, main game we have to play. What happened? This is what happened to Arjun. Arjun, all these years, he went through so much challenges, so much difficulties, so much calamities, and success. And if you win this battle, you become the emperor of the planet. You just will be emperor of the planet. And now Arjuna is saying, therefore Krishna is surprised. What happened? All of a sudden. Anarya Jushtam Aswargyam Akirtikaram Arjuna. So he says, if you don't fight now, three things will happen. He calls it three qualities. Anarya Jushtam. Anarya Jushtam is not practiced by people who know the value of life. Aswargyam. Aswargyam means which does not lead to higher planets, higher destinations. And Akirtikaram, that which will damage your reputation, cause infamy or damage your reputation. So Arjuna is already famous. If you don't fight now, then your reputation will be spoiled. So Aswargyam means that which will not lead you to higher destinations. So in ancient times, people had this understanding that life is not just this one life. We live multiple times. We have lived many lives in the past. Now I am living a life, and the future I will continue to live, depending on many factors, depending on my actions and karma, everything. So what will decide my next life? What you do in this life? So Krishna is telling Arjuna, if you don't do your responsibility of fighting, it will not take you to higher destination. Swarga is higher planet, heavenly region. Aswarga means that which will not take you to Swarga. So for a Kshatriya, the easy way to go to Swarga is by fighting a war. Properly fighting a war. Not anytime picking up a quarrel and fighting, but if you are forced to fight, And if you fight the war according to the rules of Kshatriya warfare, even if you die in the war, especially if you die in the war, you are promoted to heaven. So all you have to do to go to heaven is die in the war. Easy way, right? For others, what they have to do? They have to do a lot of charity and yajna and tapa. So much punya they have to accumulate. And if you have accumulated sufficient amount of punya, then you are promoted to heaven. But for a Kshatriya, just get killed in the war. So that's an easy way from one point of view. So Krishna is saying, if you don't fight, you are missing the opportunity to reach heaven. And who will not want to reach heaven? Arjuna was not someone like modern people who didn't believe in heaven or hell. If you tell someone today that there's heaven, if you do good activities, you will go to heaven. Kisne dekha hai heaven? You will ask, right? Kisne dekha hai heaven? These are all imaginary conceptions just to create fear in people or just to motivate people to do something good. Actually, there is no heaven or hell. That's what today's people think. But Arjuna was not such a person. He had a clear understanding. In fact, he actually went to heaven. Before the war, when he was in Vanvas, he actually spent some time in heaven and learned many skills from Indra and other experts. And with all those skills, he came back. So if you tell Arjuna there is no heaven, he is not going to believe. So, our Krishna is telling, if you don't fight, you cannot be promoted to heaven permanently. This time Arjuna went and stayed only for a few days, few months. But if you want a permanent residence in heaven, then fight the war and become qualified. Akirtikaram means if you don't fight, and even if you don't go to heaven, if you have to stay here, then you need good reputation. You already have a good reputation. You are the best archer, best warrior, best everything. And everyone knows you are famous. But now if you don't fight, all your good reputation will be spoiled. So at least to maintain your reputation, fight the war. And then he says, Anarya Dushtam. So this word Arya means, Prabhupada says here, persons who have no knowledge of liberation from material bondage are called non-Arya. And those who know the value of life, they are called Arya. So sometimes this word Arya, especially in modern times, carries a sectarian message. Certain caste, certain class, certain group of people are called Arya. But according to this definition, anyone who knows the value of life, the goal of life, the purpose of life, and who is following it, pursuing it, such a person is called Arya. And one who doesn't know anything about it, one who doesn't know what is the goal of life and the purpose, the value of life, such a person is called an Arya. So Krishna is saying, telling Arjuna, if you are not fighting your responsibility, then you are behaving like an Anarya or non-Aryan, one who doesn't know the value of life. So this term Aryans, this was very much used in Second World War time. Hitler used to think Germans are Aryans. They are a special breed of people who are Aryans, and only they are qualified to rule the world. Someone specific color of skin, special breed of humans. So in the Western world, Christian world, especially there are two branches of Christianity, Protestant and Catholic. So Catholic Church, they spread to Spain and Portugal, Italy. Italy was like Vatican. And from there, They spread to South America region, Catholics. And the Protestants, they entered into France, Germany, UK, and from there they went to the US. So US is mainly Protestant Christians. So when British came to India, um, so the idea was the British people, they thought, especially Europeans and UK British people, they thought anyone outside Europe is uncivilized. Tribals, barbarians, low culture, because we are the special people. We are the men to rule the world. So they came to India, invaded and conquered India and established their government. But they were surprised to see that people in India already had very vast, diverse culture, very developed culture, developed in science and mathematics, and the language Sanskrit was developed, quite sophisticated compared to what they thought. But they don't believe. How can anyone outside Europe have something superior, better than us? So then they start studying the language, Sanskrit language. There are so many literatures, books, the Vedas and the Puranas and the Upanishads. So Max Muller and others, they studied the language and they were quite understood everything. But then how to prove that how to prove that these people are inferior and we are superior? Some of that has to be established. So then they understood there are similarities between Indian languages, Sanskrit, and the European languages. So Latin, Greek, they were similar to Sanskrit and other Indian languages. But to accept that all languages originated from Sanskrit, that is very difficult to accept. How can Sanskrit be the origin? Because these people are inferior. How can something superior come from Aryans, these people? So they had to establish some theory. And then they came up with this theory called Aryan invasion theory. There's a nice book called Searching for Vedic India by His Holiness the Honored Swami Maharaj. He explains all these things in that book nicely. So Aryan invasion theory was essentially trying to prove that these Aryans were located in somewhere Australia. So that shows in those times Krishna and Ram were worshipped everywhere, not just India and Southeast Asia. Excavation murtis are found, have been found. And renunciation. Renunciation means in spite of having all these things, and if someone can give it up anytime, and that shows his renunciation. So in this way, therefore Krishna is appropriately called Sri Bhagavan. Otherwise, it would have been said Krishna Uvacha. Right? So there is a reason great acharyas and authors Vyasadeva is calling him Sri Bhagavan. The term Bhagavan is also used for great devotees who are properly representing Bhagavan. So Narad Muni is sometimes called Bhagavan, or Vyasadeva or Shukadeva Goswami. They are also sometimes addressed as Bhagavan. But usually the term Bhagavan is used for Krishna, Vishnu, and the Vishnu Murtis, avatars of Krishna, Vishnu. They are the ones who are generally given the title Bhagavan. So in this way, Prabhupada explains in the purport how this term should not be misunderstood. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, you also find one section in the first canto, third chapter. It says, it gives a list of incarnations. Several incarnations, the Dashavatars are there, and many other avatars are there. A list of 22 avatars are given. And in the end, the speaker, Suta Goswami, says, Ete cham shakala pumsaha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. All these avatars that I have listed here so far, the source and origin of all these avatars is Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the original personality of God. So in this way, Krishna's godhood is confirmed. And even in the Gita later, in the 10th chapter, Arjuna also says, I was treating you like a friend. I thought you are my sakha and friend. I was joking with you, sleeping with you. We were spending so much time in a friendly manner. But after understanding your glories, I declare that you are Param Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adi Devam Ajam Vibhum. I understand you are the supreme absolute, the original truth, absolute truth. Param Dhama, the original abode of everything, the supreme abode of everything. Pavitram Paramam, you are the purest. Purusham Shashvatam, you are the original person, permanent, eternal. Adi Devam, the origin of everything. So Arjuna also declares. And he says, I am not declaring just because you are my friend and I am trying to flatter you. But all these people, great acharyas, have confirmed. Asito Devalo Vyaso Swayam Chaiva Bravishime. So therefore we need to understand the science of God not sentimentally. Just because I like someone or I have been worshipping, my family tradition is going on in a certain way, therefore, and so and so person has been being worshipped, therefore I worship. Tradition is not always reliable. Sentimentalism is definitely not reliable. We need to worship or accept someone as worshipable based on what scripture is telling us. Some people will say, this is our tradition. All our ancestors, सब यही लोग कर रहे हैं, ऐसे करते आ रहे हैं, तो हम भी कर रहे हैं. But what is the guarantee that tradition is right? So scripture says Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. And therefore we stick to worshipping Krishna. And understanding properly the tattva. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tattva. Krishna says, anyone who understands me properly in tattva, in principle, such a person gets out of the cycle of birth and death permanently. So therefore, understanding Krishna is not just because I like Krishna and I understand I enjoy reading about Krishna. We need to understand Krishna because that is a secret to understanding the mystery of life. The key to getting out of this repeated cycle of birth and death. And that's what Krishna is going to describe in the coming verses. In the coming verses, Arjuna is also going to express his inability to understand what is right and what is wrong. And eventually he will surrender and start asking questions. So we'll continue this in the coming weeks. Any thoughts, any questions anyone has? How can I judge if I'm working more than? One second, I'll answer this. So over endeavor is it? Relax. So definitely we should work for the bare minimum things. Whatever is basic roti, kapda, makan, whatever is there, we definitely work. But if it is going to take out too much time that we don't have time to practice my basic spiritual practices, then we should understand it is over endeavoring. So you define what is your capacity, how much time I can give for studying Shastra, how much time I can give for practicing my sadhana, how much time to give for associating with devotees, like-minded spiritual practitioners. We decide, you define this much time I have to give per day, per week, per month. And accordingly, I will adjust my occupation, my job and other things. But if my job and other things, my other responsibilities is making me compromise these things, then it is extra. So if I have decided to chant a certain number of rounds, and if I don't get time to chant only, that means I am over endeavoring. And it's going to be different for everyone. You can't make a blanket statement.
Prabhuji, I confuse. There are three types of Vishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu or Shridakshay Vishnu. But I don't know, मैं ये नहीं जानता कि Lord Vishnu क्या होता है कृष्णा या कृष्णा जी क्या होता है विष्णु.
दोनों सही है. Krishna calling Krishna is avatar of Vishnu or Vishnu avatar of Krishna. Both are not wrong technically. Usually avatars happen through Vishnu. There is this Vishnu called Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, a Vishnu in the universe, in every universe. And whenever there is a problem within the universe, Lord Brahma goes to him, Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, and he prays to him. And then that Vishnu says, मैं अवतार लेता हूँ. So that's how the avatars come. But when Krishna came, Krishna also followed the same pattern. Although Krishna is beyond this universe, when Krishna descended to this world, he came through the same process, through Vishnu. And along with Vishnu's energies, he came. So people usually understand Krishna as an avatar of Vishnu, which is technically not wrong, but it's not completely right also. Just like if you ask a child, पानी कहाँ से आ रहा है? वो नल है ना, नल बाथरूम में उसमें से आ रहा है. Is it right or wrong? It is right. But is it completely right? Why? Because it's coming from the municipality tank. That is getting from some other source. It is coming from the rain. है कि नहीं? So ultimately it is rainwater coming to your bathroom. Similarly, if someone is saying null se aa raha hai, it is not wrong. But that's a partially correct answer. So Krishna is beyond null, beyond the tap, beyond the municipality tank. It is like the original rain cloud coming down to your home as water. Is that okay? Yes. Mike, can you speak on the mic?
When you start praying, the confusion which I have, that either you can go to sannyas life or you can maintain the life, what you are doing like normal. If I go to office, there are certain questions which are coming up, certain problems coming up. So when I'm doing sadhana, those thoughts keep on coming. When I'm doing my work, sometimes God's thought will come. So this leading to life becomes difficult because we are not making justice to any one life. So is the answer that either take sannyas or complete all the responsibilities of your sansaric responsibility and then move? So how do you maintain the balance between two?
At least according to the Gita was spoken to whom? Arjun. And he also gave the same argument. He wanted to take sannyas in the beginning. Kind of sannyas. He said, I don't want to fight, I want to give up and I want to retire. I will stay in the forest and I don't want to enjoy the kingdom, nothing I want. But then Krishna spoke the Gita to tell him, fight the war. You have to take the responsibility of fighting. You can't just prematurely take sannyas. Krishna is telling Arjun. So, somehow we have to strike the balance. I have to continue my worldly responsibilities of maintaining my family, my job, my social responsibility, everything. But at the same time, I have to take out time for my spiritual life. Because that is the main thing. Because I am a spirit soul, my spiritual life is my main responsibility. All other things are important as long as my spiritual life is able to continue. So, my body is there, but body is temporary, but maintaining the body is important. So therefore I have to work, maintain, earn money, whatever I have to do. But these all carry importance as long as I give importance to my spiritual life. Prabhupada used to give the example of 1 and 0. So all my other responsibilities are like zeros. My family, my social, my physical, my job, everything. They're all zeros. If you add only all zeros, what do you get? Zero. No value. But how can a zero carry value when you add 1 beside it? Right? You put a 1 besides the 0, then the 0 gives you value 10. 2 zeros, it becomes 100, 3,000, 10,000. So in this way, you keep 1, the first. You give priority to spiritual life, add the 1 left to the 0. Then your zeros carry value. Otherwise, without the 1, they simply make up 0. Worthless. So both are important. 1 is important, 0 is also important. But that balance is required. So why don't you do it? Who is stopping you from taking 8 hours? ठीक है, no problem. Whatever 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever you are doing, make it quality, give it quality time. Good quality 2 hours of spiritual life will be enough to make your entire day, keep your entire day spiritual. Even though you may be working in an office and doing all the responsibilities, the mood is important. Even if you are working in your day-to-day life, if you carry a spiritual outlook towards life, that is as good as spiritual. So if I am working, if I am in a family, I am taking care of my family members, children, other things, I do it as a service to God. Then your family responsibilities become spiritual. If you work and earn money in order to serve God eventually, your job, your occupation becomes spiritual. Like Arjun's fighting is becoming spiritual. Why? Because he is acting on the instruction of Krishna for the pleasure of Krishna. He is dedicating the results of his work for Krishna. Earlier he was not ready to fight. Krishna told him to fight. Sir, you fight the war for establishing dharma, and my mission is to establish dharma. You assist me in my mission. That means Arjuna is offering his occupational results for Krishna's mission. Therefore, Arjuna's fighting is spiritual. So all we need to do is how to make the connection. How can I make my social connection, family responsibilities, other occupation? Give it a Krishna connection. Give it a spiritual connection. Then everything becomes spiritual. And apart from that, you have to take out 2 or 3 hours, whatever you plan to do, exclusively spiritual. So that 2 hours of exclusive spiritual activity will ensure that all my other activities will carry the spiritual mood. Then the whole day becomes spiritual. It doesn't remain black and white. The whole thing becomes spiritual. Even the sleeping can become spiritual. I sleep so that I can next day get up with renewed energy to serve Krishna. So sleeping also spiritual. What can be a better bargain than this? Okay. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Hare Krishna.